The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. I was just getting yelled at by the cameraman for being on my cell phone while trying to bring myself in, count in, whatever. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited to be here tonight. I'm feeling really alive, honestly, because we have just some awesome guests lined up tonight. We've already shot 2 shows. We're going into our 3rd show, which is, yes, why I'm in the same apparel. No, I have not wore the same outfit 3 weeks in a row. We're shooting 4 shows all in one night, 4 awesome rocking guests. And I'm really feeling the life of that. So I'm really excited to bring you this next show. We have Miss Jenny. And Jenny, I usually have guests introduce themselves, but I'm going to introduce Jenny.
Thank you.
So Jenny is someone who our paths crossed a little while ago. And Jenny would call me drunk. And Jenny would call me drunk, begging for help. And part of my recovery is to be of service and to show up for people unconditionally. But God, did Jenny drive me nuts.
Still do.
And I don't think that I was much help to Jenny, but I definitely did try to be, for sure. I really did. I could hear the desperation in her voice of someone that was really in a lot of pain. And as fate would have it, a few years later, Jenny crosses my path again. And it's really cool to see God's work in someone. Jenny is bright. She is kind. She is loving. She is someone that I literally witness her trying to practice principles in her life and to show up for others and to be selfless. She's humorous. She's smart. She definitely brings joy to my life. So it's really cool how God works and how, people's paths cross at all different times. And our truth is like, we have no idea what the future will bring. And I've had multiple times in my recovery, amazing people in my life, and then they carry on because they spread their wings and fly, So I'm really grateful to share this part of our journeys together.
Thank you. Me too. For sure.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a little nervous at first, but tell me about you. So all I really remember about your alcoholism is that you'd call me drunk. You really wanted help, but you were really fixated on not leaving your children. And that you willingly lived in a camper, even though you had a place to live. That's about
true.
it.
The campground. The camper was really bougie. That would have been nice. Yeah. I mean, I've been my first AA meeting probably was 6-7 years ago. So, super, super quick, what brought me to being in the woods and drinking, I don't know. I don't even, it was my solution. I was raised and brought up in a great home with great family.
You're the 3rd guest tonight to have that same experience.
Right?
Wow.
Weird, right? But I was thinking about it today. Anytime I go on a commitment or I'm coming to share a little bit of my experience, I'm super reflective, right, about where I've been. And I did grow up with love. I grew up with all those things. And when I talk to people who are new, trying to get sober or whatever, I think I did have an emptiness in me though. I always was trying to fill something. That person's definitely happier than me for some reason. But in high school, I had friends. I was cheerleader. I was popular. I did all those things. but always felt like not enough for whatever reason. And that's internal. And now I understand that because it was nothing to do with my outside. On the outside, I was loved. So I was cheerleader, graduated with honors, went to UNH where it was socially, in high school too, like I wasn't the 8-year-old drinking out of, or whatever. Like I remember smelling alcohol like around like 12 or so and being like, that's interesting. The first time I got drunk, blackout. Loved it, and that was like when I was maybe 14. So just looking back, but it was always socially acceptable. And in high school, a few parties or whatever, nothing crazy. College, I was in a sorority, so like parties are our thing. Graduated, moved to Boston.
Did you have like did you have like any other like obsessive behaviors or like other things that you fixated on that like could have comforted that like internal feelings of not being good enough? Like cheerleading, for example, like did you fixate on that to like get validation?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. And even later on in life, on the outside, if you look, like I call it fake book, if you looked at my life on the outside, I had 3 beautiful children, marriage to someone who is really successful. I was like Martha
You called
Stewart.
it fake book?
I did call it fake book because it was fake. I was
love
like,
it.
it was. Like
love
I was
it.
giving this image of like, I've done a lot of work and I'm a psych major and all of that. And like, I was the hero of the family, like I filled that role and I did it well. Like my father has, since passed, but we never had to worry about you, Jenny. Like you always were doing what you were supposed to be doing. And
do you think that like you were fulfilling that for someone else because you thought that's what their expectations of you were?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So you were never like honoring your authentic self.
No.
You were always living your life for someone else to please someone else.
100% truth. And that's the beautiful part, like being where I am today now.
Mm-hmm.
Now I live for myself and I'm happy and like it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier to not resist who I really am. And I think that's why I drank and then drugged, because I was like, it was restless. It was hard to try to pretend to be somebody I wasn't. And I was never like, when I look back on it, I wasn't dishonest in my friendships with people. Like when I was married and we used to have people over all the time, or, friends' parent, I was not a dishonest person to other people. I wouldn't lie to other people, but I was constantly lying to myself.
Right. Trying to force yourself to be something that you weren't, right?
Yeah.
Like living in a delusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my sister, my younger sister, there's 3 of us, and my middle sister passed away. Within like 3 years, my younger sister passed away. My father, who is my everything, was diagnosed with cancer. He passed away. And then I got divorced within like 3 years. So it was like boom, boom, boom.
Your younger sister?
Yeah,
your
my middle
dad.
sister. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got divorced. So I went from being a stay-at-home mom with my kids, who are everything. And that's the other thing. I love my kids to death. It's, they're beautiful and amazing. I kept myself busy with them, I poured all of my love into them. Like there's something that it's funny because now I'm going to jump around, but being now where I am and finally having had that spiritual experience or that psychic change, I think back and I'm like, when did I ever feel really happy? And always with my children. I always felt real, genuine love with my kids and my family too, and my friends. But I just lost track. But no, but when my father passed away and then I got divorced, then I went from being a stay-at-home mom to all of a sudden having this free time, right? And free time wasn't like, it kind of started off like, hey, who wants to go to lunch? Any other stay-at-home moms want to go to lunch and have a 2-bottle Chardonnay lunch, for me. And then, but then it was more like, I'm sitting with myself. Like I'm alone with myself.
Because you had all those distractions from that, the marriage, the kids, all of that, those are, they're a part of life, but they're a busy external force that keep you out of you.
Yeah, 100%. And that was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That worked for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I had to sit with self, I had started drinking really alcoholically. It was quick and it was fast. And I always drink alcoholically. Like the wisdom and the understanding that I have of our disease now, I was a blackout drinker every time I drank. I was trying to get outside of myself. Like I remember when I got divorced and I was starting to date, I'd be like, all right, I don't really feel good about myself. If I have a few glasses of wine, then I'm ready to go. You know, that because it gave me that false confidence to be okay with who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me sad for that person in a way, because like I've always been a kind-hearted, good person. I'm like, what happened? What is that? And now I understand it as that's our disease.
It's alcoholism.
That is. It's a spiritual malady that it's through and through.
It's a fact-finding and fact-facing process, right? And so, wow. I don't know this woman. She already broke the mic. Okay, yeah.
What's up?
For one and only time you're coming on the show. Oh, God.
Thanks, God.
So for me, spiritual experience, right? The word spirit means like pertaining to the human soul, and the word experience means to obtain the facts, which are truth. And so like for my entire life, I dishonored my truth. I did not empower myself to live by my truth. And I lived by all these, and it was a common theme with the two guests that shot before you, is that they were always like never knew who they were, and they were chameleons trying to blend in everywhere they went. And I never had any identity of self at all. I never knew who I was. And, I experienced a significant amount of trauma in my early life, and I repeated that trauma over and over and over again. Like as I got older, I was not a victim to trauma. I was creating it in my life over and over again. And it was a way for me to keep living out that victim mentality.
Yeah.
And when I finally got sober at the age of 32, I had to face some really harsh truths about myself, and I had to be really uncomfortable. And I remember, I didn't get sober at this time, but I remember in 2015, I was sitting at a treatment center, and everyone was going around the rooms, and it was like the process group or whatever it was like something about you had to like share about yourself. And I just started crying, and I said, I don't know who I am. Mm-hmm. And the group instructor at the time, she was like, you're one of the most lucky people here. How beautiful. You're going to learn how to have a relationship with yourself. And I didn't at that time. But like now today, like I know who I am, and I carry that with me where I go. And like when I walk in rooms, like people can feel that. Like I literally have such a relationship with self today, and it's crazy how quickly that can manifest for you, because I'm only 4 years sober, and I went 32 years of my life without knowing who I am. And today I walk into rooms with my head held high, looking people, in the eye and speaking very confidently, because I know who I am. And people, and don't get me wrong, like I have moments of weakness where I have like, insecurities and fear of judgment, but like more often than not, I don't really care what someone's feedback to me is or something. I'm not an a-hole, but like I will also speak my truth, whatever that may be, good, bad, or indifferent,
Yeah. No, and I think that's beautiful, and I think that's so true, is once you are okay with who you are, and you know who you are, and you understand who you are, and you live by the principles that are important to you, you're okay wherever you are. You're okay wherever you are.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Call me a junkie? Yeah.
Okay. Let's bring it, right? Like, yeah, no, like I can, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I am okay. I'm okay.
Yep.
So it's crazy. And it took me a while. Like when people talk, like, it took me a while. I had almost a year sober twice, and I would sit in the halls and I would do things, do everything that I was supposed to be doing on my checklist. And I'd be looking at people like you and friends, and like, I just want it. Like, I want it. What is it? Like, why can't I get this?
It's you. It's right? In here.
I know. And then so maybe that was still me pushing it away. You know what I mean? Like, I still wasn't like, maybe even that, like doing all the things on the checklist, but still not taking a look at myself, And finally, like that last time, I mean, in between those few years of really crazy, I mean, I was in a complete blackout, drinking, dating a guy who I didn't know was an addict at the time. And at 45 years old, I believe, saw heroin for the first time. And immediately was like, I want it, like, and here I am thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? It's still identifying as that stay-at-home mom with 3 beautiful children. And here I am, like, doing heroin at 46 years old. Like, who am I? Like, completely lost. No sense of self at all. And I used to, I think for those 2 almost years that I had, calling you drunk, even like I was working with the sponsor still at the time, still wanted it. I wanted it so badly, but I still was not ready to really be okay with who I am.
You wanted it, but you wanted it your way. Was like
100%.
I didn't know you then, but like, you know, based off of the conversations,
Oh,
like you'd be like, well, I'd go, but I need this or my kids. And I'd be like, I get it, dude. Like your kids are important. Who am I to say they're not? But like
Right.
you suffer from a fatal progressive illness.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to show up for your kids if you
Yeah.
don't do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And then I didn't show up for my kids, you
Yeah.
know, and then I signed over custody to my ex-husband and a blackout, you know. And that's I can't that yeah that and then it was just kind of like, all right, what else do I have now? And what brought me to the woods, and like my very good friend Amanda came and picked me out of the woods, and I think at that point I was like, wow.
So hold on. So you were living in a campground?
I wasn't living in a campground. I had an apartment. I'd gotten out of treatment and was hanging out with people who I probably should not have been hanging out with. I wanted to be with those people because I wanted to drink like I wanted to drink, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And then it got really ugly. It got really dark, and I realized, I think it was at that point, I don't know if that was my spiritual experience, that was my bottom, you know, not caring if I lived, but also not wanting to leave my mother, like having to mourn the loss of another daughter, not wanting my kids to have to bury their mother. Whatever it was God working in my life. It was that bottom. It was all of those things. It was finally being able to say, because I would sit in the rooms and I would think, well, I just got divorced and my father died and my sister died. Like, yeah, like when I get that shit straightened out, sorry, I just swore, but when I get that stuff straightened out, maybe then I'll be able to go out and have a martini or a glass of wine. Like, I'll never do heroin again, but like maybe I'll be able to drink, like, okay, you know? And then finally, as you know, leaving treatment and feeling okay. And then within like a matter of a week, being in the woods at a campground with people who we were like scraping together quarters to go get natty daddies. Like who, what? Okay, this is no.
Far from the single mom having mimosas,
Yeah,
right? Stay-at-home mom having
Yeah.
mimosas. Yep.
Yeah. So I went back to treatment, and for the first time ever, I really feel like I was like, okay, I am an alcoholic. I'd said those words 500,000 times, but without reservation.
Yeah.
I can never ever put a mind-altering substance into my body and have any idea what's going to happen after. Never.
And that might seem kind of overwhelming to some of our viewers. Like, what do you mean never drink again? And I remember, so there was some literature that I used when I first got sober and some literature that I still use nowadays. And it had said like, you know, like try to stay sober for anything like a year. And I remember reading that line being like, what? I don't want to stay sober for a year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, now I've been able to put together a couple years. So that's pretty cool. But like, so like to anyone watching that like thinks that sounds really overwhelming, don't worry about it.
No.
You know, like I didn't have to worry about it at that time. I just had to worry about doing the next right thing to get through to that day. And like where the universe has taken me, like today I don't want to. I have no reason to want to drink. And you know, and could I drink normally? I'm not sure. I don't want to experiment.
No.
You know?
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah. So you got to a place where you had conceded to your innermost self that you were a true alcoholic, and what happened then?
And I think I also realized that I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I walked back into the same treatment place that I had been before, and one of the techs there, you know, grabbed me by the hand and we went into a little room, we were talking, and she's like, you got to start to love yourself. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I just lost my kids. I was in the woods. Like, what do you, like, how? And she's like, you like yourself? And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like, well, why are you here? Why would you be here? Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, well, maybe I like myself a little bit. She's like, that's all we need right now. You know, that's all we need right now. And from there, like every day, like you said, just continuing to do the next right thing and to let go, like I fought it for so long. Like my friends who are really close to me would probably agree that I would sit in meetings and talk to other alcoholics, and I'd be like, yeah, but that's not me. Like, but that's not me. but most of that's me, but not that little teeny tiny part.
I am so annoyed just sitting here with you.
Right?
You're that girl. You were that girl.
So that girl. Horrible. But I wouldn't say that. I don't think. I'm looking over there because Amanda's right there. Would I say that? I did? I'm sorry. But you know what I mean?
I mean, thanks for the information, but I'm not her.
No, but I'd also be like seeing it at like, but still going to meetings, being like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not completely ready yet.
Yeah.
Like in my old sponsor, I'd be like, when I was drunk, probably said it to you too. Like, I just don't want to be an alcoholic. Just like, well, it's too bad. You know? I'm like, but I don't want to be an alcoholic.
The great news about being an alcoholic is it's like a self-diagnosis. So you're only an alcoholic when you say you are.
I don't want to be one. Like, what? But you are. So, but the beautiful part of that is once I totally let go of it, like freedom, freedom,
Yes.
like not having to fight it anymore. Then like, okay, so that's one little part. Alcohol is not everything. Like, it's so not anything. I don't know. And I think when I let go of that and with no reservations, conceded to the fact that I am, you know, and tried something new.
And learn like what to be an alcoholic really means. So for a very long time of my life, I was in and out of jail, and I really had this like false sense of identity that like I thought I was some kind of badass. And I wore it as a badge of honor, and I'd be like, I'm Jasmine, I'm the drug addict, right? But like I had no idea what like to be a drug addict really meant. It meant like you're full of fear, doubts, and insecurities, and like you're restless, irritable, discontent, and you're a very insecure person internally, accompanied by an obsessive compulsive mind and a phenomenon of craving. I had no idea.
So badass. So badass.
I was talking to someone today, and we were reflecting on the fact that like I'm a white girl from like northern New Hampshire who used to wear a grill and walk around with a pimp cup.
You had a grill?
You've never seen the photos of me with my grill?
No,
yeah, I sure did. And and here I am 4.5 years in sobriety, and I would still like to get another grill.
Yeah, I see that.
But yeah, right. So to like learn what it truly meant,
Yeah.
and the freedom that's in that. Like, no, I'm not Jasmine the badass. I'm actually Jasmine that's really scared, has no idea who she is, and puts on this false image to act like she's okay because she is so scared that someone's going to see she's not okay.
Yeah. And I also think, and that's like a beautiful thing too about being vulnerable and just living honestly and open. Like there's nothing like it. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide today. And that's beautiful. And I wouldn't have that definitely would not have that if I was still actively using or drinking. It's beautiful.
Jenny went from living in a campground, taking shots, to now just taking turmeric shots every day.
I know. I gotta go get some more.
My significant other tagged me in a thing on Facebook today about turmeric shots and how you need to make sure you're consuming the right kind of turmeric. I was like, get out of here.
Oh, boy.
Let me be. Let me have my turmeric, okay?
That's all I have. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, cool. So like life's okay today?
Life is really good today.
Yep.
I don't like, and I still would say like I was having this conversation actually with somebody at work the other day, and I was talking about how financially I don't have everything that I want. I lost like with my marriage, like my house and a lot of the comfort items that I had in life, but I would not trade the life that I have today for anything, any of it.
You had the comfort items, but they came at a price.
Yeah.
A price for who you truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm okay today.
Yeah.
I'm really better than okay. And I know I'm going to be okay. And I know that I don't have to worry about the next thing. Like, as long as I keep doing the next right thing, as cliche as that sounds, the good things happen.
They manifest.
They do.
They really
It's crazy.
do.
And I used to think you guys are crazy when you used to say stuff like that.
Because it is crazy.
But it's true.
I know.
Which makes it even more crazy.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
So life's good. You're happy. Your children are in your life again.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, they are. My ex-husband is a phenomenal father. He's a great provider. He's remarried. His wife is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not one of those women that ever had to worry about, whose care their children were in. And he's protective of them. They're in my life. They, even through, for like the past 5 or so years when I was trying to get sober, my kids never were neglected by me 100. You know what I mean? I'm a much better mother today. And when I raised them up for 15 years, I was present. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And this is like a sensitive part for me, because I don't think I've ever been dishonest about who I am with my kids. Like when it came to my kids, it was laser foot. And I'm not saying that out of guilt, because for sure, do I feel bad? Like, who wants to know that their mother was living in a campground? I don't even know if they know that. Living in a campground, and I'm
You just went on television to tell
I know,
them.
right? But my kids know a lot. My kids are older. They're 18, 17, and 12, and they know a lot, But no, the kids are, I have the kids in my life, and I think it's really important to tell people too that, in my experience, we cause a lot of damage or a lot of pain and a lot of wreckage in our addiction. And as many years as that may have taken, it doesn't take that long to get it back. People who love you and people who care about you and in your circle, like weeks, days into seeing you doing the right thing and loving yourself the way that they love you, that's all they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then they open their heart, they open their arms back up to you.
Addiction is progressive, but so isn't recovery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
So Jenny,
Yes.
the show has all different kinds of viewers. We have family members that follow and watch. We have people in long-term recovery, people newly in recovery. We have, our hopes is that the show is getting out to people who are suffering. Our hopes is that the show is a resource available to offer hope and education to people, and let them know that there are resources, and if they need resources, to reach out to us and we'll help connect them. And we've actually had people all over the country to resources. So anyone watching, what do you have to say to them?
God, recovery is amazing and beautiful. And I would say, people are like, oh, it's so hard. Recovery is so hard. And it's not hard. Being an active drug addict and alcoholic is way harder. When you're doing the right thing, people want to be in your life. They want to help you. You want to help them. You go to bed, I put my head down on the pillow at night and I feel like I've done my best. I've tried to be helpful. I don't always do everything perfectly, but I sleep well at night and I wake up in the morning with no regrets. And there's help out there, and there's no shame in it saying that you need help, because I wouldn't be sitting here today if it were not for beautiful women in my life, and men in my life. It's beautiful and it's possible, because I never in my life did I ever think that I would feel the way that I do today, ever. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you. It goes by quickly.
Yeah.
You only broke one mic and manifested your energy all the way over here, so I broke my mic.
I'm a witch too.
For all of you guys watching at home, thank you for watching. If anyone would like to connect with Jenny, has any questions for Jenny, if anyone needs any help to any resources, or go ahead and send our Facebook page, I Am a Heroin Addict, a message. We can connect you with anyone that you would like, and we can do our best, try our best to get you connected with resources in your local area to help whoever it is that may be suffering and needs to be connected. In order to do that, you got to hop over to our Facebook page and go ahead and give us a like. Our Facebook page is I Am a Heroin Addict. Thank you. We love you, and we hope to see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.